Well, greetings viewers and voyeurs, you with Got That Funk, and this is a video response to my good friend TheReprieve and our ongoing discussion revolving around, which emanated, I suppose, from his original video, Punch Me in the Face. So hi Jay, thank you for your response to my last video, and I just want to make a few things clear for the sake of people who might have seen yours but not seen mine or seen my comment to yours. But the person in question was not married. I just want to make that clear. That doesn't actually make any difference as regards the morality of the story, but it is, accurate. I want to make sure that it's understood that, she wasn't married. They were together for about 15 months at the time I met her. Anyway, so that's that. Um, what I found most interesting about the response that you gave to my video wasn't the mistaken assumption that she was married. It was your apparent presumption that I thought what I did had some sort of moral foundation. In my video, right at the very beginning, Jay, I did mention that what I did was morally bankrupt and indefensible. So I never pretended at any point in that video or since then that what I did was moral. In fact, I think I went out of my way to recognize that it wasn't moral. Um, Here's the thing I find most interesting about that video and the response to it. I had more than 200 comments on that video. And the thing that I think was most interesting about it was, of all the people who commented, I did a little tally. And about 1/4 of the people who commented uh, felt that I deserved to be beaten up for what I did. And about 3/4 said that I didn't deserve to be beaten up for what I did. And about a third of that 3/4 thought that although I didn't deserve to be beat up, they could understand why I did, and if they were in his position, they might have beaten me up as well. So I find it really interesting how that works out, because the suggestion basically is that whilst it might not be right, it is understandable. Um, Now I want to get back to the people who said that I did deserve to be beaten up, because even though they were only about a third of the people, or sorry, a quarter of the people who commented, they left something more than 3/4 of the actual comments. In other words, they did multiple comments, having arguments with various people. It wasn't exactly pretty, the comment section in that video. But what interested me was how some people draw the same sort of black and white morality lines around infidelity that I do about violence. And the truth is, and I'm going to be mentioning this again when I do my video response to the atheist antidote, the truth is, of course, when it comes to morality, there is no black and white. It's all great, big, thick lines of gray. In some of the places, those lines are thinner than others. But I mean, generally speaking, in my opinion, morality is not clear cut. Every situation uh, can have multiple options about, the best moral way one could approach a certain situation. And, who the hell is to say what situation is better? As regards physical violence, though, I do have really strong feelings about it. And I suppose it's easy for me to have my own position since I've never really been violent with anybody before. Maybe that helps to explain why I think violence is so wrong, is because I personally have always managed to rise above it when I've felt extreme anger. I've never been a victim of my emotions when it comes to anger to the point where I've lashed out violently. I've never lashed out, I've never hit another person, I've never thrown stuff at someone, I've never punched through walls or doors or any of that kind of stuff that sometimes people do when they get really, really angry. So maybe it's because I'm that kind of person that I find violence to be so wrong. Now, with that in mind, I want to point something out which I thought was really interesting about the reactions to that video. Um, the people who said that I deserved to be beaten up, including as well the people who thought I didn't deserve to be beat up but who could understand it, that sort of attitude stems from the fact that they can identify with having your feelings hurt, like my attacker had his feelings hurt by me, and wanting some kind of retribution, wanting some kind of revenge for the hurt feelings. What I find most interesting about that is the guy who attacked me is, generally speaking, not a violent person in his day-to-day living. He doesn't get in fights on a regular basis or any of that kind of thing like some guys do. Anyway, However, he did kick my fucking ass the first time, and he would have probably killed me the second time if he could have got his hands on me. So he was obviously furious. He was obviously really angry, and he broke his own moral code because of his strong feelings. Now, what I find most interesting about that is the people who think that I deserved what I got obviously agree that there are instances when you break your own moral code because of your strong feelings, those feelings being anger. What I find interesting about that is it didn't seem to be crossing anybody's mind that I broke my strong moral code because of my strong feelings. But those feelings weren't anger, those feelings were being in love. And somehow people seem to think that being in love is less justifiable to break your moral code than being angry. And I find that fascinating. Why do you think that is? Do you think that might be because people can all relate to being angry, all relate to being wronged by someone else, but not everyone can relate to being so in love that you're willing to risk your life for it? That seems to be the conclusion that I come to, and I've been thinking about it for almost 2 weeks now, and I can't really see it any other way. But that could be my failing, and if someone out there has a better idea about it, I am more than open to hearing what you got to say. Absolutely. But the thing is, what I did was morally wrong. I knew she wasn't totally available, and we ended up getting together because of our strong feelings for each other. Um, and in the end, it turned into a huge car wreck because I didn't end up getting the girl after all I went through for it. So suffice to say, though, that we did take huge risks down to our strong feelings, and somehow that's wrong. But being violent because of strong feelings somehow isn't wrong, according to some people. I just find it interesting. Um, it's an interesting exercise, and it reminds me that there is no black and white when it comes to moral decisions. What I did could not be justified morally, but it could be justified emotionally. And you could say the same about what he did to me. It's not justifiable morally. And so for people who are arguing that I deserve to be beaten up, you're arguing from an emotional standpoint. You're justifying it emotionally, but you cannot justify it morally. And if you think you can, I respectfully disagree. Anyway, so that's that. I do have another video to make on this topic. I have to address some points that were made to me by the Atheist Antidote, and that should be an interesting video because I've got more to say about the situation than just the affair in question when it comes to the comments Brock made. So I should get to that video in a day or two. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Jay, for our conversations. They're always illuminating, and I always appreciate the tone of our conversations. I think you're awesome. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody, and have a great weekend. May all your ups and downs be ups.